This is a picture of the engine that I'm currently working on. When I designed this one, I had a few ideas in mind that I wanted to try. One was I wanted to have it a slide valve engine. The other engines I've made have either been wobblers or spool valve engines, and I wanted the challenge of building a slide valve engine. I also wanted a bored crosshead guide. I tried that once before and failed. I thought I would try it again. My other thought was, why don't I make a centerline crankshaft with the flywheel on one side and the eccentric on the other side, and that would give me the experience of building a crankshaft. So I started this engine probably about a month ago, not quite, about 3 weeks ago. I've made a few parts, and as I've mentioned before in my videos, I only work about an hour to 2 hours a day in my shop, so I don't get a lot done in a week. You know, a week's work for me in the shop is probably about 6 or 7 hours. So we will go to the camera, and I'll show you the first few parts that I made, the crosshead guide, the supports for the crosshead guide, and the base, and I will assemble those. The first part I built for this engine is the crosshead guide. It was a fairly straightforward project. Didn't have too much trouble with it. I think the biggest problem I had was deburring the sides, the side openings. The original plan of the engine was I was going to work with, I was going to mount a bar underneath the crosshead guide, and then make a, see if I can grab a screwdriver here, drill holes through here that went down to the base. But since the base was designed to use existing stock, this came out way too narrow. I did draw it up using number 172 screws, but then there's no way I could get a screwdriver in there, so I went to the alternate plan and just drilled holes in the bars, and I'll run screws up from the base. So I made the crosshead guide and the 2 bars. Then I built the base. That was made out of a piece of 1-inch square aluminum stock, tapered down just for looks. Drilled and counterbored the mounting holes that I would need. So what I'm going to try and do now is we're going to bolt the crosshead guide onto the base with the bars in between it. One side of the base is drilled for the head bolts, so I better make sure that that's at the front of the engine. So I'll put that. My thought processes on this engine, unlike some of the other ones where I kind of built the parts at random, was to make all of the parts that were stationary, none of the moving parts like the piston and the crank, but make all the parts that were stationary, the frame, the crosshead guide, do them first. Then as I progress with the rest of the parts, I can adjust or make adjustments or modifications so everything fits together and works properly. Okay, you got a couple of I could use a different Allen wrench. All the bolts on this thing are number 256 screws, with the ones that hold the base together are socket head cap screws. So we put that together. One of the reasons I gave for kind of giving up on the model railroad things was the parts were getting too small for me to handle. Now here I am making my own too small parts, so I don't know how this is going to work. I think there's a screw still in there. There it is. So these were drilled counterbore to fit the screws. Well, then I had that much done. I decided that, well, we got to have bearings, or bearing standards. I haven't put the bearings in them yet. So we'll bolt the bearing standards on. Again, the same method. Number 256 cap head screws up from the bottom, and probably won't be able to see this much on the video. I think I could use better light to see what I'm doing too. The bearings themselves are going to be pieces of 7/16. 7/16? I'll have to look. 7/32. I thought 7/16 was too big. 7/32 brass tube that has a 3/16 ID, and that will be glued in the holes in the bearing standards. I haven't got that part yet. So after that will be, probably a little later on down the road that I cut those to length, press them in place, and probably put them in with some kind of adhesive. And I seem to have lost a screw. I've been told many times I've got a screw loose, so there it is. So this is pretty much the engine as it is going to sit at the end of this video. On the next video, we'll move on to some more complex pieces. As I mentioned before, I don't think I will show any machining. I'm not an accomplished machinist. I'm not even a good amateur machinist. I just kind of hack parts out of metal. But there's the basic frame with the bearing standards, the crosshead guide, and the base. So if you want to see how this engine completes, please like and subscribe, and come back and see me again next week. Thank you.